Welcome to another episode of Bum with a Wrench. I'm your host Daniel as always. And on the last episode, we worked on fitting this relay box into the passenger side front fender. Again, I was trying to hide this in such a way that it doesn't mess up the overall look of the car. Again, I'm trying to go for that classic clean look, even though it is a modern engine with a lot of wiring. I'm trying to hide as much as that, as much of that as I can. So finding a place to put this where it was out of the way, you weren't going to notice it, but you could still access it, was a little bit challenging. It doesn't seem like it'd be that hard, but you go out and look at relay boxes and then, try and find one that'll fit your car in that way. This is actually a great one. I could see using this on quite a few different cars. But we got it mounted up in the car. We got it positioned in a good spot. Next comes wiring. So flipping it over, remember when we left off, we mounted these bus bars to the car or to the back of the relay box. So beyond that is wiring. Lots and lots of wiring. So now you can kind of see what I was talking about with wanting to put these bus bars in here. Now, as far as the positive one goes, I've only used half of it. I have each one of these relays on its own screw. That way you're not stacking and could possibly cause a voltage issue for the relay. Now, these relays aren't that big of a deal. They run the fans, they run the headlights, and the AC. They're going to run the compressor. So, one of the problems that I'm working through right now on this is I want the AC pressure switch to turn the fans on, right? So I have two separate relays for two separate fans. And the reason I have it that way is because when you look at the wiring harness that came from SpearTech, it has two circuit controls, fan 1, fan 2 is what it has. Well, the car already has two fans in it for the cooling system. So the way I interpret that is it's a two-stage fan system, meaning when it starts to get hot, one fan will come on. As it starts to get hotter and it needs it, it'll turn the other fan on. I don't know exactly if that's how it works or not, but that's the way I kind of interpret it at this time. Why else would you have fan 1, fan 2? The other thing that I want to do is I want the fans to come on when I turn the air conditioning on. That's going to lower that head pressure and allow me to have colder air inside the car. Again, with this car, I'm trying to have that classic car, but have all of the amenities of a modern car. And so generally classic cars, you get some air conditioning out of them. It's cool air, but you're not getting that really cold air. I'm trying to get some really cold air out of this car. It's got vintage air already in it, which is a modern air conditioning system to begin with. And then I've got an LS in the car running a modern pump. There's no reason why I shouldn't get ice cold air conditioning out of this car. And one of the ways I can make sure that I get ice cold air conditioning out of this car is to have the trinary switch control the fan, which it already has a fan functionality in it. If you look here on the wiring diagram, what you see is, so this is your trinary switch over here. Then there's 4 wires that come out of it. So this is your AC compressor over here. It's going to control your pressure, your compressor. It's going to turn the compressor on, it's going to turn the compressor off. So high pressure cutoff is at 406 pounds. Low pressure cutoff is at 30 pounds. Electric fan engagement's at 254 pounds, which is basically operating temperature for operating pressure for the air conditioning system. That's about what your high pressure should sit around 250, 230, 250. So that's what this trinary switch actually does. Is it cuts it off when it's too high, cuts it off when it's too low, and also gives you a fan engagement. So with having 2 fans and then that are controlled by the computer, and then also having this trinary switch that could activate the fans. So you would think, okay, we'll just wire this other circuit, which would be here. This is your electric fan relay. Wire that into your electric fan relay. Well, I have two, because I have what I'm thinking is a dual stage fan system, right? So if I were to just take this signal wire, right, and then combine, just splice together these two signal wires, which are the fans, fan 1, fan 2, or this is fan 1, fan 2, sorry, green's fan 1, blue's fan 2. If I were to just combine those, what would happen would be when the computer demanded fan 1, because these two are now connected, it would turn both fans on. Is that a problem? No. But is that the way it's designed? No. So I don't want to do that. So working around this problem is a little bit interesting. I need to separate I need one signal wire to operate two fans independently. So if you think about that, one of the ways I could accomplish that goal would be to have the signal wire coming off my trinary switch going over and looping into one of these fans. And then it would also splice in. Now I would have to implement a second relay in order to make that, or actually that'd be a third relay. It would be a second relay for the AC system, third relay for the fan system, and which I have. I have another one in here. I could do that. And then both fans would come on, but yet with the air conditioning. But yet when the computer wanted to demand one fan or two fans later with the air conditioning not on, it could do so. That idea is okay. I don't mind that idea. It's simple and easy to set up, and then basically what it would do is I would have the signal wire coming out of my trinary switch going over to and getting into the primary fan, right? So it would splice into the primary fan, but then it would also splice into the signal wire for my additional relay, my extra relay here. Then the output of that extra relay would actually go to the signal wire for my second fan. That would give me that separation. That way, when the AC demanded it, both fans would come on, but yet with the AC off, the computer could still control each fan individually. You need that bit of separation in there. Okay, it's an okay idea. That's basically what my thought process was to use this additional relay to go ahead and run that system. Since then, I really thought about it, and I'm like, I don't know how this motor is going to act. I know it's a, modern LS3, so it should do pretty well. However, you never know how a motor is actually going to react when you put it into a car. Is the cooling system going to perform well? Hopefully. Is everything going to go well? Again, hopefully. So instead of going this route, what I've decided to do was actually to put a pusher fan on the front of the condenser. So now what I'm going to have is I'm going to have one fan on the front of the condenser and then two fans on the back of the radiator. Two fans on the back will pull, the one on the front will push. The one on the front pushing, so that kind of gets me into how I'm actually going to wire this. Because now what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm still going to have two fans that run right now. So the signal wire that comes out of my trinary switch will branch off. It'll go to my additional relay, so I'm still utilizing that last relay that I have in there, which is then going to turn on my pusher fan. But I'm also going to have that split go to the primary fan on the engine side. So there is two fans still coming on, and I think that'll work. I think that'll work well. And what that'll do is that'll allow the head pressure on the AC to come down. I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm wondering if that'll actually turn on 2 fans when what you would want to do. Because you wouldn't want that fan to sit idle with the primary fan. So when the engine demands fan 1, I wouldn't want that fan in the front to sit idle and not do anything. And basically at that point it's acting like a big window or door. It's closing off that space right there. Air does flow through it, sure, but it's still closing off that space. If I wire it the way I just said, what would happen would be if the computer demanded fan 1 would come on, but also the AC fan would come on. That's kind of the way I would want it to go. That way the pusher and the puller are both kind of working in conjunction with each other. And then if it actually got so hot that fan 2 needed to come on, again, I'm just anticipating that that's the way this is going to work. If fan 2 comes on, then you know you're really getting hot. You're going across the desert, trying to get to Vegas or something, and it's 110 degrees outside. I don't know. But I think that'll work well. That way, with the air conditioning, we'll turn on the pusher fan and fan 1, and then when fan 1 comes on, it'll turn on the pusher fan and fan 1. So either way around, those 2 fans will work together. Now, you wouldn't want to wire fan 1 and the pusher fan on the same relay. You always want to kind of separate those relays because, fans, it's an electric motor. It takes a lot of electricity to turn those, especially in a heated environment. So you still want to keep those relays separate. Those are the problems that I'm working out. I've been on this right here for now. This is the 2nd day, and this is what I have out of it. I have all these circuits. These are my fans over here with the black and red molded together. I need to add another one of those now because now I'm implementing a 3rd fan. This is my AC clutch. So this will actually go around, and this is what will meet up with the clutch itself. Is this spool here? That's why I left it very long, because I don't know where exactly this is going to go. This is my signal wire for the AC clutch. So what's going to happen is I already have a wire coming down from the vintage air system. That's going to go into my trinary switch. So that will be, sorry, my AC compressor. When I was telling you before, I was like, this is the AC compressor. No, AC compressor is down here. This is the switch that is coming down the passenger side fender that I have right now. That'll go into my trinary switch. So that's basically when you flip your lever on the inside of the car to the AC, that's what tells it to go. It does have one grounding wire, so I need to run a grounding wire over here still for it. And then I have my signal wire, and then I have my my AC compressor. So this wire here, let's see, this wire is going to go all the way to the AC compressor. Now what you're not seeing in this whole diagram right here is this relay. I'm implementing this relay that's that's actually not in this diagram. Reason I'm doing that is because I know modern cars, and that's the way modern cars work. They have a AC relay in between the fan clutch and the actual signal telling it to go. That way you're not trying to run high amperage wire all the way across the car right from the trinary switch. So it takes a lot of load off of that trinary switch. It'll last longer, perform better, and it sends all that in a voltage signal to the relay. That'll then go ahead and transfer that high voltage over to, or not high amperage, over to the AC compressor. So that's what you're not seeing in here. So basically the way this would work would be, instead of this signal wire right here actually going to the compressor, this signal wire here is actually going to this relay, which then that would be this wire here, this white one, and then that would come out of the relay and then go to the compressor. It takes pressure off this switch here. I already have a relay there that I can use. It just works better that way. So I am missing a few circuits in here. I do have my powers and grounds for my 2 fans that I have. I have the last relay sitting here. I just kind of wound those up out of the way because I didn't want to mix up which one was which. You'll notice that I do have these yellow wires here on top. So when you're looking at a relay logic, 30, which is your main power, right, and 87A is, these two are linked. So basically, this has power all the time. I don't need that, don't want that. And in this application, I just don't need it. Instead of just hacking it off and destroying what could possibly be utilized later in life, I just went ahead and wound them up. Now we want to be careful because these are power all the time. So what I did was I took some shrink tube, slipped it over the front of it, shrink tubed it down, pinched it on the end so that it's capped off. There's absolutely no way voltage is coming out of this. And then I just wound them all up and put them in a nice little bundle there in the center where they're out of my way. That's why you see those there. Later on, you know, if they need to be utilized, they're there. I can easily get them out and utilize them again later. I won't need to, because if I need constant power, I have it here on the bus bar. So that is a circuit that on a lot of 5 circuit relays just is not utilized. Honestly, I've never used it once on any application. So, but again, I'm not just going to cut it off, because you never know. You know, don't you know, cut off your nose to spite your face, basically. So I do have. So I have this ground signal here that I need off the trinary. That one will go, I don't think I have it in here yet. There's a lot of stuff in here, as you can see. All of these spools right here are connected to this. So I need to get this circuit out. I need to wire this in for the additional pusher fan that I'm going to have, and then make the proper adjustments to do, like I said, basically splice it into this circuit. So this one's actually being activated as well at that same time. Those couple grounds, I do have a ground that needs to come off of here and go to the heater control valve, which is already up in the car. It's this wire actually here that when I took it out of the car, this is the actual wire that did that. It just was plugged into the heater control valve and then grounded to the body. Don't need to ground it to the body. I can ground it here. Could I just utilize this circuit to actually do that? Yes, I could. However, this is white. Using colors that people know, red for positive, black for negative, or common, they want to call it common. I've never used, in the automotive world, I've never said the word common referring to negative or ground, because common is what you're going to find in a house. You know, does it mean the same thing? Sure, whatever. So this I want to be black. So I'm just going to remake this in black, easy enough. That's why it's sitting over here, but I do need to put this one here that goes up there. So I need this negative wire. I need this negative wire. And then wire in my last fan, which I'm just going to do like this. I've been just kind of over guesstimating the length of the circuits that I need. Obviously, I'm going to cut them short. You want more than less. Is it wasteful of wire? Yeah. But I also don't know exactly how I'm going to route it at this point in time. And that leads into the next kind of segment of this crazy talk about wiring. I hope you can kind of see why I have been going slow at this process, and really kind of remember, like I said, I was kind of sweeping up a little in the front, sweeping up a little in the back, pushing it all toward the center. This is why. You can see how many circuits, how intricate this actually gets for just something as simple as that. You have to think about all this ahead of time, otherwise you're going back in, you're splicing into it, you're cutting into it. Now right now, I'm just using my soft tape that I always use and making little bands to hold it together. I'm not doing any finishing wiring. I'm not putting all these together into one little thing right now because, again, I need to go back and modify this circuit already for this. So you want to do little tiny things. The one place that I did do a little bit of finishing is right here on the passenger side headlight. And reason being is because I know this is the way that's going to be. It's not going to change from this. If there's any extra length in this right here, it'll just sit there in that fender, and you'll never see it anyways. The Y leg that comes out of it goes to the driver's side headlight. And honestly, what I did with this, now this is part of the original harness, as you can see by the colors and the age of the wires. What I did with this is I just chopped this out of the harness. I chopped this out of the harness and then flipped it upside down, because originally it came from the driver's fender over to the driver's headlight, that's what's this one, and then jumped across to the passenger headlight, which was this one. Now, because I have all of my stuff on the passenger side, I chopped it off long in the main harness, flipped it upside down, and now I have this. That solved that problem. Now you'll notice that there's 2 extra circuits coming out of the back side of this thing, because these are the signal wires for my lights. These signal wires will go up to the car, so this is kind of transition into that next portion of the next bit of headaches that I need to figure out. And to do that, and to really explain this, let's take a trip outside to the car so I can kind of show you a little bit more about what that next headache is and what that next hurdle and decision making process that I have to do is. Remember these 2 wires, these 2 signal wires right here, don't forget these. Okay guys, let's head out to the car. All right guys, I know that first part was a little bit, much, maybe a little confusing. I do apologize for that, but this is the thought process is kind of the stuff you have to think about when you're doing at this level, not meaning this nice of a car or anything other than the fact that I am now taking a 60s car and putting a ton of electrical stuff in this car. And this is only the tip of the iceberg, really. Wait till we get on the other side of the firewall. This is pretty easy to kind of stay in line with what I'm talking about. That in there is a whole nother dimension. So the reason I wanted to bring you guys out here is because I wanted to show you the stock. Now I think this is made by Painless. I was looking through it, and when I started working on it, I noticed that a lot of the circuits, they're actually labeled, which is cool because I could not find a wiring schematic for this car anywhere. I do have the 68 wiring schematic. It didn't match any of this. So, which was driving me nuts because I like to be able to sit down and take a look at something like that and then figure out what I'm gonna do with it past that. But what I did with these is I took, these are the harnesses that make up everything underneath the hood, there we go, of a 68 Camaro. Now you'll notice, if you look at the back side of that, there's a lot of blank holes. That's because I stripped everything out that I no longer need for this engine, which is basically everything. I'm down to, in the forward harness, I have headlights, turn signals, horn. That's it. That's all I have in this. So this is stripped down. You can see all the holes that are, check out all the little blank spots in there, Same with this one. This one does this red wire is the main power coming into the car, right? That's going to supply all the voltage to the fuse panel right in there. This purple one tells the starter to go. This is your windshield wiper motor. That's it. So really I have starter and windshield wiper on this one. I have headlights, turn signals, and horn on this one. That's it. But what I do have, and this is where I need to make hard decisions, what I do have is I have this gigantic block that goes through the firewall. That is a pretty big hole. I need a pretty big hole to take all of the LS3 circuitry, and I need to push that through the firewall somehow. Did this die? Yeah, it died. It's okay, don't need it. You saw it all. That big old bundle of wires. I need to push that through the firewall. Well, if I'm only down to a handful of wires in this red one, I don't even need that. The only reason it's still there on this harness is because I thought after I actually get that relay box connected, I can go through and test things like headlights, horn, turn signals, all of that kind of stuff. I can now test all of the stuff that I have there in the front. So my thought is, and the reason why I had those spools, those big spools, is I'm thinking about eliminating this connector and that whole fuse panel inside the car altogether, because it's doing nothing right now but sitting in my way. I've eliminated 85% of it, maybe 90% of it. Probably more like 80, 85%. So that would give me the ability to actually take the wiring harness into the car right over here, right next to the driver's fender, right where I'm going to put the computer. So now instead of having to run that harness through the inside of the car, because remember, on the inside of the car, you haven't really seen it yet, and we'll get there. I need to put the coils in there. All the coil harnesses, the spark plug wires, everything like that has to come out in and out of the firewall, right? There's not a lot of room in a 68 Camaro underneath the dashboard. It's not very big. Those coils are probably going to take up most of the real estate of room that I have under there to do anything with. I'm still on that path because that's going to look totally cool. It's going to really set the build for this. Now, that part of my mind thought does get into, you know, how pretty the car is and how the car looks and the overall look and feel of how I want it to be in the end. Again, I want this motor to look like an old, you know, ZZ430, like what was in it. I don't want to see coil packs, you know, mounted to the cylinder heads. I don't care if they make covers that go over the top of it. Still does not look like, you know, the original engine. Now, if I've got spark plug wires that come out of the plugs and run down the valve covers like an old school 350, that is the tone. That's the look that I'm going for with this. So those coils being on the inside of the car, I really, really, really need those to be on the inside of the car to get that look that I'm going for. Is that making life a lot harder? Yes. Is it worth it? 110% yes. I'm telling you, in the end, you'll see the vision. If you can't see it now, you'll understand in the end. So I need to make hard decisions now on what I need to do. So on this harness here, this is the lighting harness, and like I was telling you, I cut the lighting, the headlights out of it. That's right here, because this used to run down the car like this, right? Used to plug in over here by the firewall. This is where I cut. This ran down the car over to the driver's headlight and then over to the passenger headlight. Well, now everything's being powered out of that side. So again, I cut it off here, flipped it upside down, and plugged it into my relays. Now you can kind of see why it's cut like that. My initial plan was to just put this back in the car the way you see like this, integrate everything into it, and then plug those signal wires into these two wires. And then these two wires would then tell the relays to turn the headlights on, and everything would work great. However, that's when I started down the path of remove that altogether. I need to think long and hard about that. I need to make a hard decision if that's what I'm going to do. Because if you think about it, and if you know classic cars, you know old cars, the backside of this whole block is the fuse panel. That is the fuse block. is the back side of this. So if I remove this, now I've just removed the fuse block for the entire car. Which, thinking about it, is not a bad thing, because I'm not utilizing barely any of it anymore. All of the circuits and stuff that are coming out of the back of it most of it is going away. I'm probably going to only keep about 20-25% of it. So 75% of what that thing does isn't even going to be used. So at that point, I'm thinking to myself, well, why don't I just get a universal fuse panel, right? A nice one, not your, oh, you got all the little, no, a nice one. I'll have to hunt and find, just like I did with that relay box. I'll find one, and then mount that up in the car so that all of the fuses that I need are all integrated into one. And I have, so this here is the, sorry, let me get my chair lined up there. This is the SpearTech relays and fuses for the wiring harness that came with that LS3. Not going to use this. Not going to use this because I'm going to put, just like I did up in the front fender here, my own relay box inside of there. Why? Because I need 2 relays for the door locks. I need 2 relays for, this one is ignition relay and fuel pump relay. I could eliminate this fuel pump relay at this time. Remember, I have 2. I have one in the front and one in the back. I could eliminate it and just have the one, but I'm thinking I'm still going to run 2. I'll explain that a little bit more when we get to the back of the car. But so I have ignition and fuel pump. I have door lock. I know there's something else in there too. So that's for the relay box that I picked out for the car. Actually has 8 relays in it. So that gives me some extras if I need extras, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to. There's stuff that I'm missing right now. But and then that box is actually going to go in the passenger side footwell where the vent used to be. On the driver's side footwell where the vent used to be is the computer for the LS3. If I take that stock fuse block out, and I know I'm going to take this one out, I need a fuse block for this one anyways, because you'll notice there's 4 fuses in here and there's only 2 relays. So that means 2 other fused items don't require relays, but they require to be fused. So I need a fuse block. I have some in this that I can use to do that same thing. So I could do that. That was my initial plan. But this is working out to the point where it looks like that's what it wants to do. You got to listen to the car, listen to listen to all the ideas that you have. And right now the car is telling me that it wants the harness for the engine to go dip underneath of the brake master and go in to the car where these are, because right behind where these are is the computer. I know I'm already putting a relay box on the passenger side. Why not put the fuses, an aftermarket universal fuse panel on that side as well? Because think about it, all of the gauges that are in the car, they're all coming out. The Dakota Digital gauges that I have going back in, they already have their own little module that controls them. So I don't need any of the wiring that's in there. I need a ignition on source, I need a constant power source, and then I need all of the circuits and sensors that kit already comes with. Gauges are done. Radio, so I need a radio, right? I need the battery power and key on power for the radio. Then we get into little things like the windshield wipers and the turn signals and the horn. Easy. That's totally easy to solve. Not a hard issue at all. So I need maybe 4 or 5 extra fuses. So at that point, I'm keeping this over here, or this over here is just causing me more problems. I'm having to work around something I'm only utilizing 20-25% of. So I think that's when I'm going to go. But before I just go hacking wires out, before I go tearing everything apart, or permanently removing stuff, I'm going to get in there and disassemble the dashboard. I'm going to disassemble and take all the wiring out of it. It needs to come out anyways. I'm not going to chop it out with a pair of dikes or anything else. I'm going to remove it all the way, because later, you never know. Maybe I'll build another Camaro and I'll have a bunch of extra parts. Don't know. I'm actually considering buying one of those hard tops shells off a Summit for $17,000. I got enough parts, I could build another car, you know. So I don't know. But anyways, I don't like destroying parts. You never know when you're going to use them later. So I'm going to take everything out the correct way. That's going to leave that whole dash area completely stripped out of the car. Now I can take a hard look at everything that's in there and really decide what I want to do. At this point, I still have the option to keep this. I can just go ahead and install this in the car, run the signal wires up to the wires that I just showed you. For the lighting, these here, I could just plug those in, and then now my whole front harness is fixed, other than the 2 signal wires that I need coming out of this for fan 1, fan 2, right? I could do that. That's pretty simple. That would get me through basically the whole front of the car then would be completed. The engine bay wouldn't be, because remember, I need to bring that harness into the car and then route that and hook it up to the computer. And then the rest of the car after that. So that's the reason why I wanted to kind of bring you guys in here. I know that was a lot of talking and a lot of explaining, but this is the thought process. This is what it takes to do this type of build, moving to this type of motor. Could I just throw everything in the car 100%? Yes, I could. I could have not cut the SpearTech motor harness up at all, laid it on the motor, made it look nice, you know, half decent, and then plugged everything in, and it would have been just fine. Yep, everything would have been great. But wait until the end. You'll notice I do have the AC manifold up here on it again, because I put the trinary switch on it. I wired it in, put it on there, vacuumed it down. It's been sitting now for 2 days at -28. So it's holding great vacuum. Don't have to worry about that. I knew that's the way it was going to be, but you never know adding a new part. So anyways, let me take some time and figure out what I'm going to do with this part of the wiring harness. And then I think what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to get those last couple things wired into my relay box, and then I'm going to get that installed in the car. I'll just have all of the wires hang out of the passenger side headlight right there, until I can make a hard decision on what I need it, how I need it to look, and how I need it to function in the way that I want it to do so. All right, guys, give me a little while and let me do some hard thinking. We'll come back in here and see what I decide. All right, guys. All right, it is end of day here, and as you can see, it looks like I've drug the guts out of this car through the passenger side headlight. These are all the same. Well, there's more in here than before. Got your main 8 gauge. This is going to actually power it. Then you got your fans, and my additional fan is actually in here now. That I'm going to run for the AC. Then you got your signal wires for the fans right here, and trinary switch wiring here. This will go right over here. Here's the trinary switch. They'll wire in right there. Then I got my lighting harness. So this is actually, you know, the part that actually goes over here on the side. This will actually plug into this headlight right here. This one will go across the car and plug into that headlight over there. I do need to terminate this ground here, but I can do that at any time. Forgot to do that in the office there. And then I got my signal wire for the headlights right here. Those will also travel across the car. And then I don't know, whatever this one is. Oh yeah, this one is the actual wire that turns the AC compressor on and off. So I mean, it looks pretty crazy. And then of course you got your ground wire here. This one's actually gonna dip back through the fender there and then down over to that ground we were talking about earlier. So that one just fished right up through the fender there. But yeah, that's all of that couple days worth of work culminated into this mess of, you know, looks like the car threw up through the passenger side headlight. So, but hey, that's, I'm super excited. You know, that's one step forward in this process, is actually getting this, starting to pull wire, you know. It doesn't really feel like you're making any progress, but then you do something like this, even as messy as this looks, and I'll tell you, it's super exciting, because that's, I mean, this is a huge step forward. And we're talking about just lighting and fans and, you know, that kind of stuff, but still, I mean, you could see what it takes to actually do that, the amount of wires and circuits and everything else. I'm super excited about this. This is awesome. You know, this car is 3 years in the making. Maybe a year's worth of idle and not doing anything, waiting for the motor to come in, ordering parts, that kind of stuff. But still 3 years in the making. It's getting close. I'm super excited for this thing to start, be able to turn the key and start to make some noise. So I'm gonna go home, and then tomorrow we're gonna come in and we're gonna finalize where some of this goes. I still have not made my decision yet on that, the wires going, where the wires are actually gonna go through, how everything is actually gonna terminate. As far as, you know, talking about the stock wiring harness there, I'll figure that out on a later date. But tomorrow, let's come in, let's get all this stuff going in the direction it needs to go. We can trim some of these shorter. I left all of them long so that I would have plenty of wire to play with. And let's get some more of this done. That way we can hear this thing actually make some noise. All right, guys, I'll see you bright and early in the morning. Good morning. Back here in the shop, next day. Still got the mess of wires hanging out of the passenger side headlight here. I think today, I still haven't made a decision on what I'm gonna do. I'm about 90% sure I'm just gonna rip the harness out of this car and completely redo the whole thing. But I'm not 100% there yet. I'm still on the fence, but it's one of those little white picket fences. So what I'm gonna do today is I wanna just kind of get a lot of this stuff roughed up. So I want to kind of pull it in the direction it needs to go. I'm not going to do any kind of finishing work on any of it. I'm just, like I said, I'm just going to figure out what circuit goes where and where it ultimately needs to go, and then kind of route them in that direction. And then that's going to help me to find its path. There's a couple things in here that are going to help me. So the core support's the main routing path across the front of the car. I have this spot here underneath where the radiator's attached to it, and then basically it's like a cap with a cavity up inside. I believe that's where the stock harness went. That's where this harness is going to go across. I've got a big gap in there where I can fit a rather large harness through there. So that's where that's going to go. I simply got some zip ties, and the zip ties have a clip attached to them where you basically can push them onto a pinch weld, and they're not releasable, but that's okay. Once you finalize the harness, then from there you can you know, just connect it once, and then if you got to go back, unfortunately you're gonna have to cut the zip tie to get into the harness. You know, that's just life. Some of the, I could look around to see if I can find, there's a push onto a pinch weld clip style that also has like a barrel that opens to allow the harness to kind of come out. That's your more factory style clamping mechanism for something like that. I could try and see if I can find something like that. That would definitely help serviceability on the car. And whenever I'm doing this, of course, I'm always thinking about how I can do stuff like that. So later on, when you have to service it in some way, work on a bad connection or whatever the case may be, you can do that without having to get invasive, meaning cutting a zip tie and then having to replace that with a new one that's got a clip. Those zip ties were kind of expensive too, by the way. They definitely weren't cheap. So if I had to order them again, it would be kind of expensive. So I'm just trying to kind of go through this right now and kind of just untangle everything, get an idea of what's what. That way I can kind of route it in a way that's better. This is gonna go over, so this will actually follow this harness button. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do this morning. Finally starting to get over that little bit of a cold that I had again. I swear, it seems like, I don't know, maybe when you get older, the stuff, you just stay sicker longer. I don't know, but it seems like you just can't get over colds and stuff like I used to be able to. So I haven't put the headlight bracket and stuff back in here, headlight bucket, all of that kind of stuff, because of what I'm doing right now. But I will go ahead and do that again here soon. Put that in here so I can ultimately get the routing around that, which, looking at that one right down here in the corner, would be a spot. Also up here underneath the core support, it looks like it's open just looking at the one on the other side, so I could just run everything straight up. I'm going to kind of push some of this back up into the fender there. There we go. This is just going to come across like this. I'll probably end up taking the latch and stuff off to fit it underneath of the latch. There. See, that'll do kind of like that. And then that'll plug in there. This will come up and go up underneath of there like that. So that's all good. This also needs to follow that same harness across. So let me kind of get it. So this runs the compressor. This is what's actually going to turn the compressor on. It's the power wire that comes out of the AC relay. Again, I didn't need to do an AC relay, but if you look at a modern car, that's what modern cars have. Basically, like, takes the pressure off of the trinary switch, because at that point full voltage would have to run through that trinary switch. And if you haven't figured it out yet, they call it a trinary switch because it does three things. High and low pressure, and turns the fan on. Let me just stick that right there so that stays out of the way. This part's not the most entertaining, that much I can say. This one needs to go over there as well. So this will go up and over. This, those are my fans. Those are gonna go down low. Oh no, this is my fan. Those are my two fans. That'll go down low. This is my AC fan, the pusher fan. And again, I didn't need to do this fan. But like I said, I want to make sure that I have nice ice cold air conditioning in this car. I'll try to move that up there so it's out of the way. There we go. Okay. Let me look. what do I got? Gotta remember what I got. So the yellow and green, that is my signal wire to turn the headlights on. So those are over there. Then I have this blue and green. What did those do? Oh, these are my fans. These are my fans. That's right. Green is primary, blue is secondary. Those are my fan signals. So those that need to actually go that same path. Negative wire, that's gonna go back that way. Let me just kind of tuck this back in here right now. That's gonna go back the other way. This is the, this is gonna go over here to the trinary switch. And then these circuits here also go to the trinary switch. And that's basically it. So as you can see, that huge mess of wires actually didn't take too long to kind of organize and, you know, get them going in their right path. So give me a couple minutes. Let me kind of finish up some of these. I'm gonna rough up some more on their pathing, and then I'll bring you guys back in and we'll see how all of this lands in the car. So far it's looking great, honestly. This wire here, this comes out of the vintage air, and there used to be just a pressure switch that was up here on the receiver dryer. One side, this went into the pressure switch because this is positive. This would go into the pressure switch, and then coming out of the pressure switch went right into the compressor. Again, putting all of that positive electricity through the switch that's actually activating the clutch on the compressor. So, like I said, taking the stress off of this little wire, look, that wire's not very big. Taking the stress off of this, now turning, basically what I did was I turned it into a signal wire. That signal wire will go into the trinary switch, and then based on high, low, and then temperature, it'll come out and go into the AC switch. As long as it stays under that certain pressure and above the other pressure, stays in that zone, it tells that AC relay to turn on, which then it would come out and it will go through that blue wire there, which goes around and it's going to loop into, and then that's what's going to turn the AC clutch on. Then you have a couple other wires coming out of here, one of them being ground. Then we have our signal wire, of course, like I said, and then we have the fan wire. So the fan wire is going to obviously come out and it's going to turn that fan on. Now we went ahead and made that decision to put the additional relay in there to run a pusher fan that I don't have yet. That's going to go on the front of the condenser there. That's going to bring that head pressure down. Temperature is what and blockages could also raise the head pressure. But temperature in a good operating system is what brings that pressure, the pressure's up. Now this normally, it's going to do its job just like it should, and it's going to cut the compressor off, because that's what you have when you look at your air conditioning and it's running. It runs, and then it stops running. Well, it stops running because the pressure's got high. Either the evaporator on the inside that gets cold got so cold that it started restricting the flow of Freon, which then raises the pressure, which cuts it off, or it got so hot on the outside, which raises the pressure, which cut it off. Low side, when you're talking about low pressures, that's only if you have a leak. And that's basically to save the system so that you don't blow it up with no Freon in the system, because Freon is its juices. It's how it lives. If it doesn't have Freon, then it won't work. And you'll ultimately end up blowing the system up. So that's a protection, low side. High side is also a protection. If the pressures are too high, you can blow all the seals out of everything. So that's a protection as well. And that's why you have that cycling, is what they call it. So, that's what that trinary switch does. And I love the fact that it has the ability to, I'm going to bring that blue wire back across. That thing is all mixed up. Anyways, let me get some of this stuff organized. We'll come back in, take a look. I'll kind of show you the rough routing on how things are going to go. And really, that's going to be it for this portion of the harness. Remember, we're sweeping a little, sweeping a little, sweeping a little. I don't want to do all the finishing work to this because I don't have enough of the information to do the finishing work. I don't have enough of everything completed. It's a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit until you're inside the car. We're getting close though. I know it doesn't seem like it, and these wiring episodes and that kind of stuff are real boring, but we're getting close. So kick back, wait a nanosecond for the video to start back up again, and I'll show you where we're at. All right, guys, see you in a minute. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Got a lot of the wiring in the front here done. There's still a ton more to do. I got most of it routed. It's going to go right underneath of the core support there. You'll never see it. I still got to put wire sheathing on it and do all that kind of stuff, but that is very last. Remember, you want to get everything in place before you go back and make everything look pretty. So this is a multi-step process and getting everything ran. I'm going to go ahead and just stop on this at this point because one, it's Friday, and I need to make a hard decision. Even though I think I'm going to go with just replacing the harness in the car by making my own, I still need to make a pretty good decision on that before I go much farther with this. Because it's going to require the modification and installation of other circuits. So I don't want to go too far with this because again, I don't want to have to take it back apart. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here. That's going to be it for this episode. That's the whole lighting harness basically from start to finish, mostly installed into the car. There's some terminating and some routing that still needs to be done, but I'll do that after I've made that decision on where the engine harness is going to go into the car. That'll tell me where the rest of these circuits are going to go into the car. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for staying with me along this journey. I know these videos aren't as fun as watching somebody get a car running or anything else. These are a little bit more boring, I get it, but this is what it takes. This is what it takes to build, a car like this. So I appreciate all of you that have stuck around this long and are watching. Next week, I'm going to start on the inside because I need to take all the gauges out. I need to take a look at the wiring, and that's going to be the start of determining how this actually terminates and how it goes into the car. So let me get all that stuff out, take a look at everything, make that final decision, and then I can go ahead and finish that up. And once all this is done, underneath the hood as far as wiring goes is complete, and then we're off to the inside of the car. It's getting very close for this car to start running again. It's not going to be too much longer, and we're going to hear this thing make noise. It's been a long time, 3 years, this car hasn't made any noise, so it's time to fix that problem. Anyways, guys, thank you again so much for watching, and as always, until next time.